them.
So we tell them.
We are the dreamers.
We are the dreamers.
Mighty, mighty dreamers.
Mighty, mighty dreamers.
Fighting for justice.
Fighting for justice.
And in education.
And in education.
All right, thank you guys.
On May 28, 2013, protesters gathered right here at Borough College in Manhattan to give a final push to the Senate to pass the Dreamers Act. They were demanding them to pass it and to pass it right now.
Pass it!
Dream Act!
Pass it!
Dream Act!
Pass it!
When I say what do you want, you say Dream Act. What do you want?
Dream Act!
When do you want it?
Now!
What do you want?
Dream Act!
When do you want it?
Now!
The act would allow the so-called undocumented immigrants who graduate from New York public high schools to apply for financial aid at in-state colleges.
The New York Dream Act would provide a very big long-term economic benefit to our state at a comparatively small upfront cost.
Undocumented and unafraid. Undocumented and unafraid. Undocumented and unafraid. Undocumented and unafraid.
All of our residents, however they arrived here, including undocumented students, to move us forward. The New York Dream Act will unleash more talent and potential and in turn grow our economy. And maybe most of all, it will transform lives in a very, very positive, powerful, and impactful way. And that's why we must join the other states.
Under the immigration reform, we're hoping that they can review the DACA program again and trying to raise the age range, for kids so that many other immigrant groups that bring their kids here at the age of 17, 18 can benefit, from the program.
My family came over mostly in the 1890s through before World War I. They were Eastern European Jews. At the time they were escaping pogroms, running for their lives. I checked. They didn't have papers when they got here. They got on boats and they got to Ellis Island and they really hoped. When they got here. But what do I know after 100 years in this country and by my family? That's exactly the story of the history of this entire country. Why do we need to make sure that young people who are here get educations?
Preach, Senator.
First off, yes, it's about you, but it's about me. You are the people who I'm going to depend on, and everybody my age is going to depend on when Social Security comes around. When we need the next generation to be there, to have paid their taxes, to have been the entrepreneurs, to be supporting the generations older than them. So frankly, I want to scream at my colleagues who don't get it. This is really about you and your retirement and your future as Americans. This history of this country is welcoming in people from all over the world and watching this amazing amalgam of cultures and experiences and backgrounds create what has been the strongest society and country in the world.
And this was before public advocate Bill de Blasio was elected the new mayor of New York.
Aplaudo al assemblista Moya y al senador Peralta por luchar por el futuro de estos jóvenes. No podemos esperar a Washington. Nueva York debe mostrar el camino. Gracias.
We're not taking away money from U.S. citizens. It's called an entitlement program. So if you qualify, whether you're a U.S. citizen or you're a naturalized resident here, or you're undocumented, if you meet the criteria, you will receive TAP. That's the reality, folks. There's no special treatment here at all. So what we're doing here is we're going to educate a workforce. We're going to educate all those young dreamers who traveled to Washington, D.C., who traveled all the way up to Albany, and we finally got it passed in the New York State Assembly.
Should this act have been passed, New York would have been the 5th state to enact it, allowing state financial aid programs to cover the college children of the so-called undocumented immigrants.
Since I've been here, I've been in a few different schools, and the biggest problem I've been seeing is all about funding. We need more funding to allow the people in this country to grow the way they want it so they can make a better living and a better life.
Right now, these students only receive in-state tuition and no chance for any scholarships.
No citizen student would lose any benefit by enacting the DREAM Act.
We met with Jackie Vimo, who's the Director of Advocacy for the New York Immigration Coalition.
Unfortunately, what happened yesterday was that the New York State DREAM Act was called for a vote on the Senate floor. It had already passed the Assembly last year and also passed the Assembly again this year. And I'm sad to report that the DREAM Act failed to pass at a vote of 29 to 30.
The Assembly bill's sponsor, Francisco Moya, and Senator Peralta are putting pressure on Governor Cuomo to garner enough votes in the Senate by pressing to include the DREAM Act in the final state budget due at the end of this month.
I think one of the big messages is that the fight is not over yet. There still is an opportunity to include the DREAM Act in the state budget. So what we are really asking Governor Cuomo and Speaker Silver and Majority Leaders Klein and Skelos to do is to fight to make sure that this is included in the state budget.
The big question is, should the children suffer just because their parents brought them to this country illegally?
When they say we can't get immigration reform done, we said we're going to rally, we're going to organize, and we're going to vote, and we got nothing but love for everybody, and we're going to get it done. Like we're going to get the New York State DREAM Act done.
In part 6 of our immigration update, we will meet with some Africans who are running for the first time for public offices in their districts. Stay tuned for more updates.
African, Indian, Russian, Chinese, Jamaican, Trinidadian, Guyanese, Dominican, Middle Easterns or Asians, Mexicans, even Grenadians or Haitians. Yeah, it don't really matter where you came from. We all wake up in the morning to the same sun. Even though we from different nations, still go through same trials and tribulations.